Welcome to Everything About Cooking with Chef Otto. And tradition has it that you must have a glass of wine or a drink of wine before you start.
Cheers, Mike.
Cheers, Otto.
And remember, more wine, better you cook.
Okay, this episode we're going to learn how to prepare chicken for roasting.
A whole chicken, roast a whole chicken.
Okay.
We're going to make sure we wash it properly, spice it properly, and thrust it, tighten it up.
Okay.
Okay, and then we'll show you also the stuffed chicken. Okay, now first of all, for the people that are very familiar with cutting boards, this is a safety feature. Buy a cutting board, use a cutting board, make sure, especially if it's plastic, make sure you use a wet towel or nappy or something, that way it doesn't slide. A lot of accidents happen because you're sliding cutting boards. Okay, now, when you go to a grocery store and you buy fresh chicken, always try to buy fresh chicken, but sometimes you can't, you have to buy frozen chicken. Now, what I'm going to show you here is how you spice your roast. This is for a whole roast chicken. You're going to roast this whole chicken in the oven. First of all, you put, when you spice them, make sure you spice the inside. Spice some salt. Spice the whole thing, not just underneath. Then you're going to put the spice you want to put in. Garlic, throw up a garlic. Now, if you're going to roast a chicken, you're better off to use dry spices. Okay? Now if you stuff the chicken and put, then fresh spices is better. Then you a little bit of oregano. That's what you want in your chicken. Anything you want is up to you. Some people say, well, you have to use oregano, you have to use thyme. But rosemary is a very, very important ingredient in your chicken. Rosemary and oregano. If you want a little bit of sage. I know some of these I didn't put inside. So now your whole chicken, what you could put into is your paprika. Paprika makes it nice and brown. I would suggest those on the, if you're looking for a color, it doesn't really give it much flavor, but it gives a beautiful color. Now you tie your chicken or you thrust your chicken. You can go this way, put the wings in the back. Oops. Very, very pliable, they can break very easy. And you can tie it. Mike, do you know why we tie our chickens?
No, why do you tie the chicken legs?
Well, it's not going to run anywhere, okay? You tie it to keep the meat together, which I'm having a heck of a time trying to tie this. To keep the moisture, everything together. This way it's not open and it's all get burnt. And
Just like rodeo.
I'm telling you. And you tie both holes with it. Now, when this comes out, 45 minutes, half an hour, or 45 minutes to an hour in the oven, about 375, beautiful chicken. Then when it comes out, you have the meat scissors, which you cut with nice and moist. Don't leave it much more than an hour. I mean, it depends on your oven, but don't leave much more than an hour because it'll get really dry on you. So, here's a chicken prepared for roasting. I would suggest you do this maybe an hour, 2 hours before you cook it. That way the flavors all marry together, that's the idea of that. Just cook it, beautiful. Okay, that's, any questions on roast chicken?
Not for me, but the audience can call in if they want.
Okay, good. Mike, I took the chicken apart. I just untied the butcher twine because I'm just going to stuff it. But I'm going to have 3 different stuffings. The main ingredients for any stuffing, in my opinion, is onions and celery. You should always have that. So one of my first stuffings is going to be onion, celery, fresh mushrooms. If you use fresh mushrooms, always the better. And rice. Next stuffing is going to be, rice and sausage. So it'll be rice, sausage, and mushrooms. Next stuffing will be onions, celery, bacon, and spinach. This case here, I'm not really using spinach. It's like a Swiss chard or greens. That's the same idea. And then the next dressing or stuffing is going to be bread stuffing. In all of these stuffings, I use an egg to bind it. So what we could start with, move all these aside here, and all my spices here, fresh herbs. If you have fresh herbs, use fresh herbs. Okay, these are sauteed onions, but you see it's just caramelized to the point where it's not burnt. You still got the flavor in there. Celery, same thing. Now if you're using fresh garlic, now's the time to put it in. You've had sauteed the garlic, put it in. Mushrooms. And rice. And sausage. This is sausage, Italian sausage, or just ground pork with spices basically. Now I'm going to use some oregano, pepper, just a bit of rosemary, and just a bit of cheese, and an egg. Remember, I don't like very dry stuffings because you're going to lose a lot of this moisture in your chicken. So I make mine fairly moist. Now in here you could add anything else you want. If you want to add walnuts in there, you could add nuts in there. You could have salami in there. I mean, whatever but this is just a very basic rice stuffing, in my opinion, is rice, sausage, and mushrooms. Then whatever you want to add, you could add. Now here we are. See the cavity? Now, you could fill it as much you want, and you could fill it halfway. But I recommend when you stuff a chicken or a turkey, pre-cook your meat, especially if it's sausage. Okay, the biggest problem is sometimes, this is where people get sick with salmonella, whatever, is you cook your chicken. Remember, your chicken is very, very loose meat. It's not dense at all. So it doesn't take as long to cook a sausage. So if you put the raw sausage in, what happens is sometimes the meat doesn't get cooked. The rice doesn't really matter, mushroom doesn't really matter, onion, celery, but the pork, especially when you use pork or meat, recook it, pre-cook it ahead of time. So as I've seen here, grab your rice, okay, nice and moist. Now the other thing you could do, if you don't want to tie it, you could use a needle and thread. Don't overstuff it. If you overstuff it, what's going to happen is, when it's cooking, it's all going to burst out. Which, you know what, nothing really wrong with it, but doesn't look 100%. And you can stuff the front part too, where the neck is. And you have a roasting pan here.
Okay.
Okay, you have a roasting pan. I like to use Pyrex. I don't know why, I mean, it does just as good a job as anything else, but... Now again, you tie this. I don't know why I'm having fun tying this today. You don't want it too tight, but you just want to tighten it up where you don't lose your dressing, your stuffing. I keep on using the word dressing. Ever since we were young, we always called it stuffing. But the past 4 years, they call it dressing. Stuffing, so get confused all the time. Here, now be careful you don't lose the front. And now you get tied. Before we had, when we roasted the chicken, we put the wings behind his back because there was nothing to lose. Was, you know, but here, we should tie it because you don't want to lose the stuffing.
There it is.
Here it is. Now, you put a little bit of oil on there. If you use butter, don't use butter right away because butter burns. Again, this one going to take approximately an hour, 45, depends on your oven. I would suggest you put on maybe 375, 350, an hour and a half. And you don't have to worry about the inside being cooking, I mean, as long as it's nice and warm, because all your meat's cooked. And if all you want, you can also throw a few potatoes on the side, carrots, and there's your roast chicken. If you do use wine, use white wine on your chicken. Only because it discolors. You can use red wine, but it's discolored. There you go.
Okay. Salute.
Salute to the chicken.
Okay. Otto, is the chicken ready yet?
You know what? I think just about is. Let me check. Oh, Mike, beautiful, beautiful.
Let's see it.
Oh, look at that. Look at that. Look at that.
Oh my
See
God.
where we thrusted it? It's holding all the dressing in. Now we're going to do our presentation. I'm going to cut the string. Forgot tender, everything's coming apart. Beautiful, beautiful. See, because of the strings, how everything's tucked in, nice and tucked in. Tucked in like nothing escaped. This is just the juice you can make that gravy, the au jus, and the fat for the gravy. How can anybody resist that?
Oh, that's beautiful.
Especially this time of year, we got basil, we have fresh tomatoes, eggplant, red peppers, or rosemary. You serve like that, or the surroundings could also be by roasted potatoes, roasted carrots. That made that a presentation. It's beautiful.